Let's look at how DC is responding so far to Trump's attempted takeover of their city. Motherfucker! Oh! Oh! God! Okay, for the record, I don't condone throwing anything at any officer. Let's see what Reddit is saying. Yeah, DC. Reddit's so good to understand a local community. So here's the Washington DC subreddit. Our hero. We've got protest art. But this guy, Sean Charles Dunn, was caught despite getting away at the time. Here is the official filing statement of facts. V1 is the CBP agent. Dunn stood within inches of V1, pointed his finger in V1's face and yelled, "Fuck you, you fucking fascist. Why are you here? I don't want you in my city." The video depicts Dunn screaming at V1 within inches of his face for several seconds before winding his arm back and forcefully throwing a Substyle sandwich at V1. Yep, there it is in slow-mo, screenshotted. Yeah, he wound up. Okay, so that's one way to respond to the attempted fascist takeover of your city. Again, I wouldn't recommend throwing anything at an officer, even something as fluffy as a lot of bread on a sub, but I actually feel bad for the guy. I think he was a Department of Justice employee. He is facing a felony and potentially losing his job. Okay, here's the White House official social media post about this. They caught him. Nighttime routine operation make listening safe again mission. That's your tax dollars at work, people. It's just, it's like performance art. What do the comments say? Oh. It's good to see we're finally cracking down on criminals in Washington, D.C. and holding them accountable. Here are some other creative responses. People in DC came out immediately.
This was the scene at the intersection of 14th Street and W Street in Washington, D.C. last night. So to give you a sense, this is a neighborhood full of restaurants and bars, and lots of people live there. Bystanders chanted things like, "Get off our streets," "Go home fascists," and "Read the Constitution," at a bizarre mix of federal law enforcement officers and local police who are now under Trump's control. Those officers had set up a checkpoint where for about 2 hours last night, they stopped dozens of cars and detained at least 2 people. Federal agents reportedly stopping cars for things as minor as seatbelt violations and broken taillights. Not sure that's really cracking down on crime. And then asking drivers, of course, about their immigration status, which is probably likely what this is all about. Now, some bystanders reportedly ran into a CVS to quickly make signs, warning others that ICE was ahead and directing drivers to turn left to avoid the checkpoint. You can see one of the signs there they're holding. A group of passengers in a rideshare vehicle rolled down their windows and shouted to the crowd, letting them know the questions law enforcement was asking their driver so that the crowd could then warn others who were coming behind them. Someone else blared Vanilla Ice's classic song, "Ice Ice Baby," A+ points for creativity from the sidewalk, while others shouted advice at drivers, encouraging them to ask for badge numbers or remain silent.
Here's a cogent breakdown of what's really happening, according to Mayor Pete.
As we speak, the federal government is taking over the policing of a major American city, Washington, D.C. The president is doing this not in order to make the city safer, that's the job of local law enforcement, but to solve his own political problems. He needs to get his base talking and thinking about something besides his refusal to open up the Epstein files because he's mixed up in them. And he wants the rest of the country focused on something, anything, besides the work that he has done and continues to do to kick millions of Americans off of their health insurance, to close down rural hospitals, and to undermine basic functions of our government in order to pay for tax cuts for the wealthiest. I hesitate to use a word like distraction, even though distraction is part of his goal, because it is a legitimately important thing that he is taking power in this way. And he has threatened to do it in other cities, maybe the community where you live, maybe the community where I live. So how are we supposed to handle this? We have to deal with both. We have to stand up to the dangerous authoritarian actions that the president is taking and keep a focus on the everyday impacts of his disastrous and unpopular economic policy and budget. We can and must do both.
Correct. I do think that this is a distraction. It's unfortunately one with very real life consequences. For example, for homeless people in DC, soon to be in cities around the country. But I think it's from a position of weakness. You saw that official White House social media post, and it just points out the absurdity of creeping fascism in this country, the way that the overreach and the pandering to the base and the performance art of arresting this guy who threw a Subway sub. But I think Mayor Pete is exactly right. We need to combat the authoritarianism that is rapidly descending upon this country. And at the same time, focus on the issues that Trump is trying to distract us from, including the Epstein files and his name appearing in those, including the state of the economy and where things might be headed, and including the fact that his party might lose in the midterm elections, and that poses risks for his policy agenda, but also potentially his legal situation. So 100%. What does The Onion have to say about all this? Fact-checking Trump on crime. President Donald Trump has claimed that crime is out of control in the nation's capital and beyond. The Onion assesses the veracity of the president's claims. First claim, DC has endured a record amount of robberies. Partially true. Some places in Georgetown sell a cup of coffee for $9. Yeah, and I would add, when I lived there, cocktails for $20. DC is so awesome. I love this city. Lived there for 8 years. You can see stuff like this if you've never visited.
It's available to the orange, silver.
Don't be afraid to visit. If you've never been there, don't be afraid. Go visit. I will recommend, put in the comments, I will recommend amazing food, culture, neighborhoods, free museums, at least for now, monuments. It's walkable. You can rent a bike share, ride the metro, hop on, hop off bus. You'll see so much. The locals will welcome you with open arms. It's people from all over the country and the world. I guarantee you'll like it. You can even join a protest or maybe just make your voice heard as an individual. I like interactions like this where a single citizen reminds troops you can disobey unjust orders. I bet so many of those men and women in that position don't want to be there. Some are from the community. I saw this first in LA back in June when National Guard and federal troops were deployed on the streets of LA, and very similar dynamic.
These are your own fucking citizens. These are homeless people. You guys are fucking crook. Don't let them do this to you. It's abusive to you, and now you are gonna get fucked when you're fucked up and you have to go to the VA and they cut all your services. Refuse now. Do not do this. You have the obligation to refuse unlawful orders. Okay?
More and more of this, we're going to see more and more of this in different cities around the country, and we each need to do our part to stop it.